So I've been asked to say a few words about patience. Patience in our practice is so important. One of the qualities of the Buddha to be, uh, the Bodhisattva, was the cultivation of patience. It's called Kanti Paramita, the perfection of patience. Patience does not mean to wait for something, it means to be in peace with something. It is the quality we have to cultivate in our meditation practice, because here we're not, it may sound strange because of our own cultural conditioning, but in our meditation we're not here to get something, but just to see the nature of the mind, with the way the mind arises and passes away, the way that it's completely impersonal. It's not you, it's not yours, it's not what you are. And for that, to understand that process, which takes a long, long time, we need patience. But that is difficult for us. Perhaps patience is the teaching that nobody really wants to hear, because it means ultimately giving up self. Self is always very impatient. And not surprisingly, it belongs to our whole culture. We want fast results. Our education system is like this. So we go to school and we're encouraged to do the best we can, to be the fastest in our sports day, and to do the best we can in class, to get the results that we need, instead of just being patient and allowing the truth to come to us, allowing the understanding to come to us, rather than being shouted at and told we're stupid. So it's very difficult to understand why patience is necessary. But it means, if we understand it properly at its deepest level, the perfection of patience, it means to give up this idea of self, of I, me, mine, and my. When self is not present, everything is fine. There are no difficulties, no problems. And there's no urgency either. There's nothing for you to reach out and grasp at, saying, I need that, I must have that, and more. I must have it now. I can't wait a week or 2 weeks. I can't wait a year. Well, I certainly can't wait 10 years. There's the story of the monk who trained, he was doing koan training. He was training for 20 years and he still could not understand his koan. He'd been given one the day he arrived and he could not understand it. And eventually, really out of shame, he went to the master and he said, I'm leaving the monastery. The master said, why? And this monk said, because I have not understood my koan. The master said, well, how long have you been here? And the monk said, 20 years. The master said, that's not so long. It's not so long. It only seems long when you're racing towards some kind of result, where you want enlightenment, and I want it in 7 days, or I want to be happy, or I want to be peaceful, but I want it now. I want the perfect man or the perfect woman. I want the perfect job, but I want them now. It's the same with, it is most certainly the same with Dharma. So many people want to be Dharma, or let's say spiritual teachers, rather than being disciples. But disciple is where you learn. Disciple is where you sit in front of the teacher and they share their love and their wisdom and their understanding with you. And it's offered to you freely for you to accept or reject as you like. But the most important thing is that you take it with you and reflect upon it. Not just dismiss it and not just grasp it either. That you have to open your heart and ask yourself, is it true or not? What he just said or what she just said, is that true? Well, I don't know yet. So I have to cultivate patience until that understanding arises by itself. And this is how we train. Not from trying to get somewhere, not by having a 3-week course where you're going to be the teacher. You know, we teach what we have learned, but we share what we have understood. And this is very beautiful, because there's no personality in this. There's just the sharing of Dharma. There's just the sharing of the truth for the benefit of the other. So be patient. The difference between patience and waiting for something is that when you're waiting, you're suffering. When you're not waiting, but you're simply there, there's no suffering. There's just being at peace. I didn't get what I wanted, but that's okay, isn't it? You know, life is big. Sometimes you get what you want, so you can celebrate that. And you should. If you get what you want, you should celebrate it. Because you don't always get what you want. But if you don't get what you want, you can be at peace, because we're adult people. And that life is impersonal. Life isn't about you. You just make it about you. So sometimes you get what you want, which is wonderful, and sometimes you don't get what you want. And that's okay too. Because as I say, we're adults. We can go past this. But sometimes you get what you don't want. And that can be very difficult. That can be, a life-threatening illness. But it's all right. It's still all right. We can still be patient and loving and caring without any expectation of arriving at this place of nirvana or enlightenment. We can just do what we need to do, which is to be still and allow the universe to unfold in front of us, this personal universe. When it comes to the practice of vipassana, of satipatthana it's called, when we come to this practice, we just sit still. We arrive at our cushion or our stool, even our chair, without expectation. We don't know what can happen. We don't know if the next sitting practice will be beautiful and flowing, or if it will be a struggle for you because of pain or too much thinking that you might think, or that you're too sleepy or too restless. We don't know. But with this patient endurance, this kanti paramita, then we can be with all conditions, knowing that one simple thing, this most precious truth that we have to understand, that we have to harmonize with. And you can't harmonize with it from the thinking part, from the intellect. It can only be from the intuition, that everything's changing. Everything is a process of change. Nothing is static, nothing. So you can relax. Whatever you're experiencing now is going to change in the next moment. In fact, it's already changing as you are aware of it, or as I'm speaking. It's already changing. That change doesn't happen. Change is always happening. That life doesn't change. Life is change itself. And that the mind doesn't change. The mind is change. It is this endless flow. To be with that flow, that everything is already moving away from you, demands patience. To be with it peacefully, where you're not grasping, I need this, I need it now, I need to understand anicca, this impermanence, I need to understand it now, today, before I go home, I need to understand dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, I need to understand it now, before I go home. But life isn't like that. You are a unique being. Your life is dominated by your karma and your karmic dispositions, the uniqueness of you. And so we have to surrender into that. We have to surrender into patience. As always, when I speak about these things, I can kind of interject this particular 2-word phrase, or 3 words if I reflect properly. It's so beautiful. That's my relationship with Dhamma. It's so beautiful. There are no disappointments. Dhamma can't disappoint you. Dhamma is truth. How can the truth disappoint you? It may not be what you want, but if you let go of that idea of what should or should not happen, then you're in peace with truth. You're in harmony with truth. As one great Zen master said, this Dhamma path is not so difficult. It just means giving up picking and choosing, selecting. And it's not only that we select the world outside, I like this person but not this person, etc., etc. It's with the process of mind. I like these thoughts, I don't like these thoughts. I like these feelings, I don't like these feelings. I like these emotions, I don't like these emotions. And so on and so on. So we make the mind itself into a battlefield where you're just continually selecting and choosing one thing over something else. And that's why you would feel uncomfortable, or suffering is the Buddhist word really. So we have our Vipassana practice. Very beautiful, our Vipassana practice. The essential quality of our Vipassana practice is patience, is this kanti, this patience where you arrive, you sit and say, okay, I give up any ideas of what should or should not happen now for the next 45 minutes, and I sit with this. And this is changing anyway. Even by the time you said, I'll sit with this, it's already changed. So you should have said, I'll sit with that. But then that doesn't work like that. But this process of change. So patience is one of the 10 perfections, and it's something to really value, something to reflect upon, and something to cultivate. Perhaps it's the teaching that people don't really want to hear, but it's the necessary teaching for peace in your life. So then I offer this today for this short talk, for your consideration and your reflection, and may you all be well and happy.